I will go ahead and we'll get started. And I'll introduce myself. And at the end, we're going to have some Q&A. And so you may see some other familiar Weidert faces pop on to video or unmute themselves. So our team that went to Inbound this year included myself. I'm Kelly Wilhelme, the Director of Marketing at Weidert Group. And then I was joined at Inbound by Greg Linnemanstons, Nicole Mertis, and Chelsea Drusch. So some familiar faces if you follow our Changeover podcast, because we all just shot an episode right when we came back from Inbound a couple days later. So it was all fresh, and we published that late last week or Monday. So go check that out, shameless plug. So I've been at Weidert for about 10 years. I've been using Inbound or HubSpot that whole time. And to kind of set the stage for this whole talk today, I'm just going to tell you a little short story about myself and my journey with HubSpot. So I started at Weidert in 2015 because I was attracted to content creation. I actually hadn't been specifically in marketing up until that point. But what I had done was craft custom communication strategies and campaigns to try to drive employee ownership, culture building, and retirement plan communication. So I knew a lot about trying to connect with people and trying to create messages that would resonate. And when I discovered that a tool like HubSpot existed, where you could not only create and execute whole websites and campaigns in one platform, but also have all that communication rooted in a single source of truth from your CRM and your customer relationships, I was pretty excited about that. So this year's Inbound felt a little reminiscent to me of all the way back in 2015 when I first started and learned about that platform. And the reason is that HubSpot is really giving us a framework again and the tools that we need to execute the kind of marketing that it takes to reach and connect with today's buyers. There were over 200 product updates announced at Inbound. So obviously today I do not have time to cover all of them, but the ones that I've chosen are a handful that I think are the most applicable to complex B2B organizations and the ones that we've already started to test and can share some real world advice. So let's dive in. We're going to start with the framework piece of it, which is the loop. And you may have heard of this already, especially if you watched that episode of the Changeover that I mentioned that we filmed and put out recently. But I will, in case you haven't seen that, I will also give a quick overview here of what the loop marketing framework is. And really what it is it's a framework that HubSpot has put out to help marketers succeed today and get the most out of our efforts, acknowledging that we are in an era of AI and that affords us some flexibility, agility, speed that we didn't have in the past, and speed that we really need in order to meet the expectation of our buyers today. So there's 4 stages to the loop. The first is express, really nailing your brand messaging and who you are and articulating that, and all these stages AI can be used in various capacities, especially with expressing your branding, analyzing your ideal customer profiles and your actual unstructured data that's in your CRM to help you come up with that brand messaging. Then the next stage of the loop is tailoring. So using AI to make those interactions personal, contextual, relevant. We've moved far beyond the age of just personalization tokens into messaging that is bespoke and specific to everything you know about that person and their company, not just the tokens. So that's what the tailor stage is. The amplify stage then is acknowledging that our buyers are in lots of different places. We can no longer rely on them coming to our website to learn about us. So we want to be able to meet them where they are across YouTube, social, video, email, LLMs, AI search tools, creator feeds, lots of all the places. So we now have AI tools that can help us make sure that we're in all those places and repurpose content for all those places. And then the 4 stages evolve. So iterating quickly and effectively with the help of AI. So not just sitting back and looking at campaign performance data 2 weeks after it launched, but doing that immediately and continuing to iterate. So the cool thing is that HubSpot has actually a lot of the tools that they rolled out at Inbound are aligned very well with the stages of that loop. No surprise. So some of them, some of these we'll talk through today, so we don't have time to talk through all of them, like I mentioned. But please do let us know in the chat or in the Q&A at the end if there are things that I don't cover that you have questions about. I'll do my best to answer, and we're always looking for more topics for future hugs. So if we don't have time to dive deep today on something that you were hoping we'd get to cover, don't be afraid to let us know, and maybe that'll be our next topic. So in the express stage, we've got things like Breeze Assistant that can help you, like I mentioned, start to analyze your CRM data and help you come up with, how do I refine my ideal customer profile? How do I refine my messaging in a way that resonates with my ideal customer profile? One thing I will talk through today is brand identity, showing you how to set that up in your portal so that all the AI tools across your portal are really using that brand identity settings as their starting point as for training to help you create better content. And then Marketing Studio is the new campaigns tool that we'll show today too. And that can help you express that brand identity in lots of different ways, right? Lots of different assets. Down in Tailor, we've got things like AI dynamic email, segmentation agent, smart properties, personalization agent. There's so much to unpack there, but we will touch on a couple of those today. Amplify, the AEO strategy is so optimizing not just for search engines like traditional search like Google, but answer engines, AI engines. That's what that's about. So expect to see that. That's in private beta right now. I don't think even we have access to it. So they're just starting to build some of those tools right inside your portal that can help you evaluate how you rank in AI and similar to a topic cluster approach. If you're familiar with the current SEO tools in HubSpot, they're evolving that to account for beyond just traditional SEO. So that's cool. Customer agent we'll touch briefly on today. That's another one we could spend a whole hug on. Video clip agent is a AI feature of Content Hub that they rolled out to help you automatically create clips from your asset like a webinar. And again, Marketing Studio here is mentioned here because it can help you create assets for all those different channels that I alluded to. And then down in Evolve, Smart Digest, email engagement optimization, Pathfinder, customer journey, those are all things that help you unearth data and put it to use in real time. So that is a very quick overview of the loop. And I do have at the end some suggested resources if you want to dive deeper into the loop specifically. HubSpot has a bunch of stuff that you can dig into. So starting to dive into some tools here. First off, I just wanted to let everybody know, if you don't know this, how to opt into some of the betas. So if I show something today that you don't have in your portal, go to your main nav in your portal and click on your face in the top right, and then click on product updates in that main nav menu. And then you'll see a list of betas that are available to you and whether or not your portal is already enrolled in them. The caveat here is you do have to be a super admin in your portal to enable these. But if you're curious why you don't see something in your portal, if you are a super admin, you can pop in here and probably turn it on yourself if it's a public beta, or if you aren't a super admin and there's something that I show that you think you really want to put to use for your company, just find out who one of your super admins is and ask them to turn it on for you. So a little housekeeping there. All right, so starting to dive in. I will do my best to demo some things here in the time that we have. I also prepared some recorded demos because we all know, like, I will narrate them live. You don't have to listen to a recorded video, but live demos, don't always work out the best. So most of them, I'll narrate some recordings that I did to show you these tools in action. And then there is one that hopefully Marketing Studio, it was too much to try to do a quick screen recording of. So hopefully that one will hold out on us and I'll be able to show you live and it'll work for us because that's a neat one. So starting with brand identity, to set this up, really the big thing to know here is this isn't totally new in and of itself, but in the past, you had to go into various HubSpot AI tools or into your settings. There were some things that were buried. And now they have this in public beta, but you can go into your portal and control most of this in one area called brand identity now. So I'm going to click through and show you what this looks like. So when you're in your portal, to get to this now, it's actually in the main nav menu under content. And if you've got the beta turned on, you'll see that new area. You can go in there. And so in addition to, it already pulls in what it knows. Like if you have some of these other things, like your logos, colors, fonts set up in your brand kit settings already, it will pull in what it knows. The other cool thing is, so this is not actual data for Weidert. This is what the AI guessed based on what it knows about us. So you can come in here and you can override any of this to customize it, like any AI intelligence. Some of it's accurate, some of it's not. So you can click the edits buttons to override what you want, your brand kind of global settings to be of how you sound, what's the technology that the AI should know that you use. What are important things about your brand that the AI should know? What's your brand voice, terms to avoid, all that kind of stuff. And then you can go in and turn it on. Once you have that set, you'll want to turn it on so that all those different tools can use your brand voice whenever you're using like the little Breeze assistants or things. You can also go a little deeper. That's what this is showing. And you can tell it more information about your ideal customer profile. You could tell it more information about your products and services library. So really you can it's kind of like training a custom GPT all about your brand. You can give it all of this information so that all of the assistants and things that you use are the right things that you want the AI to know. And that's a really important key, because then your outputs, obviously, like everybody's heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out. Your outputs from the AI tools will be a lot better if you train it, right? So this is just showing a little more detail on the ICP framework. You can go in and set titles, industries, and then this is showing you how to edit that product services library so that the AI, like in a little bit, we'll show like the prospecting agent and how you can set up a selling profile for the prospecting agent. And so this is like feeds into that, right? Like they work together. So that the AI knows more about you and more about your brand and more about your products and services. So that is brand identity. Now we're going to move into something that is a little, I don't know how technical it is, but it's a good distinction to know as you're working through all of the current AI tools that exist in HubSpot. And that is Breeze. They launched Breeze at INBOUND 23 or 24, I can't even remember. But now there was some confusion, I think, this is my assumption, but they were calling it, there were Breeze co-pilots, there were Breeze agents. And so now they've gotten rid of the term co-pilot, I think, because it was confusing with Microsoft's Copilot. And so really the two main categories of HubSpot AI tools, they're all known as Breeze now. So when you hear someone talking about Breeze, they're talking about an AI tool or feature inside HubSpot. And the two main categories they fall into are Breeze assistants and Breeze agents. So the little diamond that I think some of us are probably used to using, it's the one that's in the Breeze logo, that if you've noticed, that follows you around HubSpot, that tells you that AI is available. You can use an AI here. You can like rewrite something. You can have it help you analyze a data set, all that stuff, that little diamond that you can click on, that is Breeze Assistant. So Breeze Assistant can help you do things like prepare for meetings. It can access company-specific expertise that knows your processes. So one thing, like on the back end of using Breeze Assistants and training them to work better for you, you can create now knowledge vaults inside HubSpot. And so they're like, I think of them as like in a law library, right? Like you've got all these binders that you pull off the shelf to give you the knowledge that you need for that thing, that case that you're working on. And so that's how think of knowledge vaults. And as you're going through and building custom assistants or building custom agents, it'll ask you like, should the breeze pull from a knowledge vault? And so that's kind of what it's getting at when it's asking that. The biggest benefit here is really you can now work faster without leaving HubSpot or switching between different AI tools. So I would say, like, in a nutshell, there's a thesis coming out of all these product updates. It's that, right? So now we don't have to leave HubSpot. We don't have to disrupt our workflow and try to go into ChatGPT or all these other AI assistants. We can build them right inside HubSpot, and it has all of our HubSpot CRM context to make it more powerful. So the other cool thing that I didn't mention yet about Breeze Assistant, this was a big update they rolled out shortly before Inbound. It now has memory. So just like ChatGPT, when you engage with it, it learns about you and it knows, more context about how to answer you. Breeze Assistant does the same thing now. So in this screenshot over on the right, like somebody's engaging with Breeze and they're asking it questions, like it has memory now. It knows the context. It remembers your last question. It's not just like starting from a blank slate every time. So it does work a lot better. If you haven't used Breeze Assistant since it was called Copilot, go ahead and give it another try. I bet you the results will be better than the last time you used it. The other big thing, so Breeze Studio and Breeze Marketplace were rolled out at Inbound. And this is where, if you've ever used like Agent AI and you could go find agents that other people build and use them and like collect them, in your account and add them to your team. This is a very similar experience, but now right inside HubSpot. So you can access pre-built agents that HubSpot has built. And soon in the future, I expect there'll be more agents in here because that's what the marketplace is. So other people, like if you wanted to, you could build an agent and share it out in the marketplace. And this really just, again, helps you consolidate workflows with tailored agents, custom assistants that know your business, very similar to like training a custom GPT, like I mentioned, but right inside your HubSpot portal. So easier, quicker, faster for you to use as a part of your everyday work. All right, so that is Breeze Assistants, Agents, Marketplace. Studio is just the term for building your own, customizing your own. Data Agent is another big thing that they rolled out at Inbound. This is an agent that helps you research, answer questions about customers. It can analyze your CRM data. Really, if you want to know anything about any of the data that's in your HubSpot portal, Data Agent is where you're gonna want to kind of build and interact with that data. We are just starting to test this out. There are the other thing to note is if you had Operations Hub, they are now calling that Data Hub, just so that there's more alignment. And so we're just starting to test what are the things that you can do with Data Agent if you don't have Data Hub. Like there are some things that you could do with it in terms of reporting or analyzing data in your CRM that doesn't actually require you to have that add-on of Data Hub. So expect us to put out some more tutorial videos and things around this specifically as we dive in there some more. But really, this is just like layering a custom GPT on top of your HubSpot CRM, right? So there's a lot of potential that you can imagine the intelligence that you can start to pull out with the help of this agent. Customer Agent is one that was getting a ton of attention at Inbound. It's not brand new in itself. It has been there in Service Hub for, 6 months or so. But the big thing that they did roll out at Inbound is that it has moved beyond Service Hub. So while it can still handle support tickets and things, I know a lot of complex B2B manufacturers, for example, like you may not have a use case for like a support desk like that. That's something that, is maybe a little more like SaaS software focus. But the cool thing that it can do that would apply to almost everybody, I think, on this call would be you can use Customer Agent to help you do things like qualify prospects or trigger next best actions like booking meetings, passing hot leads to reps, updating CRM records in real time. So there's a lot more potential here to use this tool. They had so much success with it in handling customer support tickets that they felt like there's a lot more potential here. We're going to move this beyond Service Hub. So even if you don't have Service Hub, you can now use Customer Agent and do things like that, like qualifying prospects and booking meetings. So again, this is another one that we're just starting to test those additional functionalities. So I would expect that maybe we'd have a whole hug in the future, like demoing this and giving some use case examples and showing you, maybe even workshopping together how to build some of those. So real overview on high level overview on that one. But this is more of a, I won't call it a housekeeping thing, but it's an important to know thing. HubSpot credits. So if you had used Breeze Intelligence in the past, actually Brian Lesh from our team did a whole hug in Q1 about Breeze Intelligence and the move from HubSpot Insights to Breeze Intelligence. Well, spoiler, Breeze Intelligence no longer exists. It's just like out of the box HubSpot enrichment, data enrichment. But what does exist now are HubSpot credits. And so credits are beyond just data enrichment. They're a way for you to flexibly pay for what you need from the AI tools inside HubSpot. And so, for example, they're used by agents like the customer agent, prospecting agent, data agent. And actually, we just learned this morning there's a typo on this slide because the data enrichment tools no longer consume credits. So those intelligence credits that Brian talked about earlier this spring, they've actually made those free now for data, for like pure data enrichment. You can enrich your contact and company records for free. Where you do need to have HubSpot credits that get consumed is for the agents. So like customer agent, prospecting agent, data agent, like if you're asking it to analyze something, that'll use some credits. Breeze workflow actions, buyer intent data. So these are the AI tools. And we can share more about this. If anybody has questions about how many credits do I need, what tools do I have in my portal that consume credits, just reach out to us. We can help you figure that out and navigate like how many credits you might be expected to use in a month and what that looks like for you. But I just wanted to make you aware that there is a very small per use cost to using some of these agents. So, I mean, it's no different than like if you're using make.com or N8N, those have same thing. Like you pay for those bits of data and AI actions that you're using. So those are all the Breeze updates. Now we're going to get into some of the what I think are the cooler tools, the day-to-day actionable stuff that you can use to execute your marketing and sales. I'm just checking the chat quick. Doesn't look like we have any questions in there, but just a reminder, if you do have one, feel free to throw it in the chat, and I'll kind of stop between sections here to address them. So moving into Marketing Hub, this is where I mentioned the one live demo that I'm going to try to do because it was too much to try to show you in a little screen recording. So Marketing Studio replaces campaigns. So in your portal where you used to go to marketing and then in campaigns, now if you're enrolled in this beta, it's going to say Marketing Studio instead of campaigns. And the biggest thing is this is now a Canvas experience that where you can collaborate more on campaigns with your team. You can assign tasks, you can make comments on assets, you can see the assets laid out in a number of ways. So really just a whole different experience of campaign planning. And I think a better one. So this is, Amy Poehler was at Inbound. So I chose this GIF because of that. But I'm going to flip over and try to show you what I mean here when I'm talking about this. So let's hopefully, fingers crossed. So I started this campaign because I didn't want you guys to have to sit here and stare while I tried to generate things. And I am in our demo portal. So a caveat here is that it doesn't have like wider branding or wider templates applied to it. So, and I would say that's like a big caveat to all of these AI tools in HubSpot is, like I mentioned with the brand identity, the better you train it, the better you set it up, the more, it's not a magic button. So like you could see in this demo, I told it I wanted an event landing page and things, and this event landing page looks pretty lame, right? Well, that's because my templates in the demo portal are pretty lame. So just a reminder there that the infrastructure of building your infrastructure of templates and things, and those knowledge vaults and the brand identity, that all feeds into what you're going to get from the AI tools when you're actually using them. So this is the Canvas experience of Marketing Studio. So what it asked me at the beginning was, and there were some templates for me to choose from. I chose the one that said, I'm promoting an event. This campaign is to promote an event. And I gave it some more context that said what the event was. I gave it a pretty robust description of who my audience is. This was from its template, but I edited it a little bit. It gave me a suggestion of what I needed then to promote the event. And I edited it. I also gave it, I had an example from past similar event, past HubSpot User Group that I gave it as an example to work from. And then obviously, like if I had a brand kit, robust brand kit set up in my demo portal, it would apply any of those parameters to these too. So what it gives me then when I hit generate was it gave me a handful of assets, the ones in this middle section here, what it gave me out of the box. And then I was able to drag and drop more assets. So I'll show that in a minute here too. But what it gave me was landing page, form, a blog post that previewing the event. And I can drag and drop these however I want on this canvas. So if I want to see it laid out as like this needs to be worked on concurrently, and then here's my emails week 1, week 2, and then here's my social posts that need to go out with this email. You could drag and drop these however makes sense for you visually, like to wrap your head around your campaign. You can also start to collect or connect these assets. So you could say like from this landing page, it needs to, or like this podcast episode needs to have a CTA that connects to this landing page, things like that. You can collaborate in here. You can use the comments panel to tag other users. You can start assigning tasks with dates that it'll generate for your users. You can assign them to different users. So really a lot of collaboration opportunities in here. So instead of trying to have all these different copy docs for these assets, I much faster start on my campaign, and I can collaborate better, and I can see it laid out in a much more efficient way of how it all fits together. The other things that are in here that are 50, as you start assigning dates to those tasks, you can flip over and look at it in a calendar view. If you like the Kanban view of more like the progress focus columns, you can see it that way. Or if you just want to see a whole list of all the things that are in your campaign, you can see it that way. And then the analytics, I don't feel like are that different than the old campaigns analytics area, but it's nice that you can quickly get there from your studio as well. So that is a very high level overview of Marketing Studio, and it worked for us. The internet was smiling on us today. All right. The other thing that I didn't touch on in there, which also a marketing feature that they rolled out, which I could obviously use this feature in any of those emails that I was planning in that campaign. But you can also use this AI-powered email feature separately. Like it's not directly connected to Marketing Studio in that way. But AI-powered email is something that started getting a lot of attention last year at Inbound because the HubSpot Academy team did some sessions where they showed how they had been using LLMs in conjunction with their automation inside HubSpot to do hyper personalization at scale. So like a prompt built inside that email body. So it's like smart content on steroids, right? So instead of just using a token or telling HubSpot in the past smart content, you could say, based on this property or this list, show this block of copy instead, right? But then I had to build out all those blocks of copy. And so it was like this giant logic tree. Well, AI-powered email really brings together that concept of smart content with the power of LLMs and prompting LLMs to help you draft that hyper-personalized email at scale. So this is another one that we're just starting to play with to really understand the mechanics of how to get it to do what you want it to do. But you can see in this screenshot here that having the data, again, going back to having, garbage in, garbage out, having the data in your portal to be able to give the LLM in your prompt, that's where some of these tokens come in, like based on these properties, based on everything you know about me and my company and my industry and all of that context, that context window that we talk about in your prompting. You have to have that data in your CRM for the LLM to have that context to make this tool really powerful. So again, just a note about the importance of unified data there. But this is a tool that as we experiment with more and as we learn more about how to incorporate it into your like workflow emails or into those campaign emails, we can dive deeper on here if people want us to do that in a future hug or future videos. I expect you will, because we've been waiting for this for a year. We've been waiting since last year inbound when HubSpot first previewed, when the Academy team was like, we're doing this cool stuff. We're doing this hyper personalization. We were all like, great, how? So now we're starting to know how to do it, and we can do it right in HubSpot, which is really cool. Okay, so we're doing on time. I think we're doing okay. Moving into Sales Hub. There were so many updates on Sales Hub here. There were so many. Greg and I attended a deep dive session that had 6 or 7 HubSpot product managers just getting up there rapid fire, showing new beta features in Sales Hub. So at the end of this, there's a link where you can learn more about all of the 218 product updates that were launched at Inbound. But the one that we are most excited about and can see a ton of potential with is Prospecting Agent. So that's where I'm going to spend a few minutes today. Prospecting Agent is like having several, probably, I was going to say one, but having probably several extra sales reps on your team that understand your business and monitor 24/7 for things like buying signals, people who are hitting your website. And so it's a really cool agent that you can deploy to do personalized outreach at scale based on prospect engagement, based on research, based on the data in your CRM and those intent signals and things. So what do we mean by that? What does that really look like in practice? So I'm going to show you on how you set up Prospecting Agent to explain it a little bit. So in your portal, if you have you do have to have Sales Hub to have this. If you have Sales Hub Pro, I think, or higher, you can go in, you can access Prospecting Agent there under Sales. You can create selling profiles. So you can create multiple selling profiles. In this example, I'm saying we have this new, product or service that we want to promote. And so I'm going to train the Prospecting Agent specifically on that service. I can tell it, it's already pulled in some things here based on my brand identity and what it knows about me generally, but I can override all of this to tell it, no, this one, this profile, selling profile, I want to promote specifically this product or service. I can tell it who I want those emails to come from, whether it's the contact owner or a specific person. Like if you just have one salesperson that's going to, you want to attach to all of these. You can also tell it, do you want it to draft and send emails automatically, like based on intent signals? Or do you want it to always have a human intervene and review things before sending? You could tell it to use your brand voice, or you could tell it to use a preset tone. If you don't want it to use your brand voice for some reason, you want it to use a more specific tone, you can set that up there. You can kind of override your brand voice. So that's in a nutshell how you set up the selling profiles. I am going to try to exit out here and show you one actual email in our demo portal. So Brian on our team set this up. He went in and created an agent and a selling profile in our demo portal, and then he had enrolled a sample contact to it, just so that this is an example of where the human, if you have your settings so that the humans, this is kind of what the experience would be. It would say, I've drafted a new email for you to review, and it would tell you, it says why it was enrolled. In this case, it was enrolled manually by that rep. It researched that contact and her company. It made a decision. So this is where the agentic of it all, right? Like it's making decisions without human intervention. And then the human intervenes when it needs to. Like you don't have to fully automate it. So it made a decision that she is a fit, that we should reach out to her. And then it drafted a personalized email for Brian to review. And so you can see in this email, it pulls in what it knows about her company. I was actually thought this was pretty impressive. Like it to me, sometimes the AI sounds like AI, right? And in this case, I thought, oh, that's not bad. But I can also come in here and edit it if I want to, and then I can actually say yes, let's go ahead and send it. You can also, we're digging in a little deeper here. We're trying to test out how far you can take this in terms of like sequencing. So again, we'll share more as we learn more. But what we think some use cases for this could be is like post-event nurturing at scale. So for example, you get a list from an event, you invested, $10,000 sponsoring an event, and you got the list of contacts. Well, you can put that list in your CRM now instead of putting them in a queue for all your reps to reach out to, and it's slow and it takes weeks and maybe they're not all the best writers. You can scrub that list, enrich a segment of that list, and then have prospecting agent then draft some emails. It could draft a first initial email, for example, for those 100 that fit your ICP criteria from that list. And then it can even be as smart as monitoring. So those 100 contacts who maybe got a first email, it can know if they hit your website, for example, like they hit your pricing page, and now it's going to tailor the second message to that contact, knowing that they hit your pricing page. So it may, the body of that second email, it can adjust on the fly to account for, they were checking out our pricing. Maybe we should talk about our approach to pricing in the next email. So a lot of potential here that, again, we're just starting to dig into and build some of these things for ourselves. But this one's pretty cool, in my opinion. All right, where are we? No, you don't need to play again. Okay, so in the last few minutes here before we just open it up for Q&A, I wanted to touch on a couple other cool features that we admittedly played with yet, but these were some things that really had some buzz at Inbound and that I think have a lot of potential for every business. So self-generating CRM data is, it automatically enriches contact and company records based on unstructured data, for example. So let's say you have an AI note taker integrated with your CRM, or HubSpot. Actually, that was one of the Sales Hub updates that they made that I didn't cover. But they actually have their own note taker built into Sales Hub now too. So like I think it might pull from Fathom, which is a HubSpot ecosystem app. So you can actually have all your notes like right in HubSpot if you don't have a separate note taker like Fireflies or Otter or something like that, or you can integrate it. So, but based on that, self-generating CRM data could, for example, crawl your call transcript from that like initial connect call with a prospect, and identify things like pain points or budget and then fill in those properties, right? It can also scan documents. Like if you uploaded, let's say you got an RFP or something, and you upload that, and it can scan that document and then fill in those properties. So it just helps keep your data clean, help you keep your data unified without having to rely on manual updates, because we all know how relying on manual updates in the CRM goes. And Commerce Hub, last but not least, this is a hub that I don't feel like gets as much attention, at least not in the B2B space, but this got so much buzz at Inbound, and people were so excited for it and so relieved that it was finally here that we felt like we had to mention it, because if you do use Commerce Hub, this is a really important one to know. So CPQ refers to configure, price, quote. It's a kind of a methodology of quoting and creating proposals. And it helps you build a custom proposal basically in a lot less time. Think of kind of like Lego blocks that you're building with. And so really helping remove that friction in the sales process. Doesn't take as long to create quotes. There's more customability and configurability in creating a quote inside HubSpot. The other thing that they rolled out kind of in tandem with this at the Sales Hub session that Greg and I were in, was a closing agent, which, so for example, if you send a quote over to your prospect and they have questions about it, there's friction if they have to wait to ask a sales rep those questions, right? Or maybe they're nervous to ask a certain question or something about the quote. Well, if you have closing agent set up and turned on, they can ask questions about that quote, like right of the agent, right, 24/7, and get the answers they want. Maybe they're asking about your payment terms or whatever their questions might be about that quote. They can ask the agent instead of having to wait for a sales rep to answer them. So the time to close a deal could be significantly reduced with some of these tools that they've rolled out. So that is all I have prepared. Just gonna note a couple of resources here, and then I'll open it up for Q&A, and I'll unmute my teammates who can chime in if there's things that I didn't cover that they want to make sure you know about from Inbound. So real quick rundown of what's here, and we'll send this recording out. We can include these links directly in the email for everybody too. HubSpot.com/spotlight is their main page, where again I mentioned 200 plus updates out there. Loopmarketing.com, they've got a really nice overview and some more examples of what goes on in each phase of that loop, so you can start to understand how using that framework or adopting that framework could help you organize your marketing operations and your efforts to match the speed that's required for today's buyers. There are also, I found a page of Breeze case studies. So if you're looking for inspiration about prompts or things that I could do with Breeze, or business results that can be realized by building that AI infrastructure inside HubSpot, that's a good place to get some inspiration. And then, of course, we have Weidert has the Changeover podcast, and we have a series of 3 episodes actually out that are Inbound 2025 takeaways. So encourage you to check those out, and you can find them either on our site or whatever podcast platform is your favorite. So I see in the chat, Andy agreed that having a human in the loop is still important. And right now with AI, I agree completely, Andy. Let me find Greg and Nicole and Chelsea, and they can come join us. And in the meantime, while Greg and Nicole and Chelsea are turning on their cameras and microphones, please do, if you have questions, throw them in the chat.
Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Good job.
Chelsea wore her San Francisco shirt.
Oh, she's so cool.
I tried.
Thank you.
While people are maybe thinking of what to put in the chat, is there any tool or anything that you guys that I didn't cover that you think people should know about?
I don't think you missed anything.
No.
The thing that is difficult to decide prioritization on in my head is focusing on changes with how you execute your marketing work with the new tools that are built in, and they don't have to mean either or, but limited resources. Or how do you focus on incorporating the loop marketing methodology concept into your choices of what you work on and how you work on it? There's so much opportunity in both the execution side and the kind of planning and decision-making side. It's hard to know where to start.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think it's kind of similar to like our at Weidert Group, we do quarterly or trimester, roadmaps for most of our clients. And we have for years talked about kind of that agile mentality of roadmaps and focus areas. So I think a similar concept could be applied to the loop as well, Chelsea, in terms of like, what's your biggest problem right now or point of friction, thinking about the flywheel mentality from the customer standpoint, where is the friction, or which stage of the loop is your biggest problem right now? And starting there. We have in the chat how do B2B perspectives, how B2B perspectives and AI help on marketing campaigns. That is a good question because inbound is a good, and HubSpot customers too are a mix of B2B and B2C. So some of the concepts and examples don't always translate to B2B in terms of like, you might also like this product recommendations, right? Like that's a big use of AI in B2C, and things like that don't always translate specifically to B2B. But I think the biggest thing is the hyper personalization, and that is something that we've seen on the B2C side for a while. Is that concept of hyper personalization? Like think of your Amazon feed, right? And now with the AI tools that we have available to us, we can start to mirror or mimic things like that, but on the B2B side in the B2B context. Anything you'd add to that, Craig or Nicole?
I'd like to ask maybe a follow-up. If he could be a little more specific with the question, if there's something particular that he's interested in.
Yeah, let us know if you have a follow-up there.
And maybe he dropped already. Oh, well.
How is data in HubSpot AI used for LLM training? It's not. Supposedly. They have said that. Obviously, it's like any AI's terms and conditions, right? You have to trust HubSpot, same as you have to trust ChatGPT on a company Teams account, like Weidert. We have a paid like ChatGPT workspace account, and they tell us that they're not using our data for training, and we believe them. So yes, supposedly, Andy, it's not used at all for training, because that AI is all, if you're using HubSpot AI, it's all inside your portal. It's not going outside the portal. And the second part of your question, are there any concerns for markets that traditionally need higher protections of data? HubSpot does have specific information about like security stuff on their website, and like they have products for sensitive data, like so inside your portal you can partition sensitive data. We don't run into that a lot because we don't work with those types of industries very often, but if you need more information about that, we can certainly help you figure out how to find it. I feel like I should turn my music back on. Well, if we don't have any more questions, just know that you can always reach out to us if one comes to mind. Again, I will put a plug for if there are specific tools that either I didn't cover or that you wished I had covered in more detail, let us know. Mary will send out the recording within the next day or two here, and you can reply right to that email if you have questions or future topic suggestions. So we appreciate all of you joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.